Hey everybody out there in the internet world, comic community, and Dark Avenger universe, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger comic book review. We are 29 episodes away from 200, and with episode number 171, unfortunately didn't make it to 170. As you see from the bulletin board, it's an all new kind of review. First of all, I have my camera now set to HD, meaning this video is going to be coming out a bit crisper, a bit clearer, and a bit wider than it normally does, and those bars on the left and right, yeah, they're not going to be there. I hope. I don't know. I've decided to go a different format, a different size, because...
Wider is better?
No.
Oh.
Because I finally installed the editing program for my computer, on my computer for my reviews and stuff. So, hopefully, I'm going to, this is the test video. I'm going to take the two parts tonight and put them together and upload them directly from the program. The program allows me to directly upload a video to YouTube. So once the video is put together, I will upload it and we'll see how it goes.
Well, let's hope it goes great as, you know, fingers crossed. Absolutely.
And if it does go well, it's going to probably take a whole lot of time. But it takes a whole lot of time for the two parts to go up themselves anyway, so it's really not a big
that
deal.
means I'll have to go out in the snow without a shirt screaming as Excelsior. Because I will do that if it works. Without any shoes on either. Hi. We did have a snowstorm this past week.
But I am warning you guys, the tricks and stuff like that, the little special effects and stuff, it's going to take me a while. I looked at the program today and I nearly cried. There's a lot. There's a lot that you could do with this program. It's Sony Movie Studios 12.0. It's the Platinum. Sony Movie Studios Platinum 12.0. No idea. I'm going to be learning it piece by piece. Sony Vegas stuff is part of the package, so lot of stuff to put together. But hopefully you will be all seeing this video as one part, one huge video. Just in case though, I will be letting you guys know when we're switching to the next part. I say we'll be right back, and then I'll say we're back, and we'll see. Fingers crossed. Hopefully you guys are seeing not part one, but the entire 171 episode together. First is actually Mike's book, so Mike's going to go first this week.
And these books were released
February 6th, 2013.
Yes, thank you. And we're going to start off with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Color Classics issue number 9. This is my favorite comic book of this week. And let me tell you guys, this book was really awesome. It's not to be continued, by the way. It's just like a one story. I just like the part how Splinter and Gozy, how they had a body transferring moment where Splinter had a vision of him. Give you some artwork right here. Well, artwork's amazing, I have to admit that. And basically, in Splinter's body, he tells the Turtles to go on a mission to get rid of the assassins who, you know, there's lots of shooting, and someone dies in this comic book. And it's not one of the Turtles, before anybody questions who it is. You just have to see in a comic book. But Harody, I think his name is, he learns basically martial arts from his ancestors because he wanted to be a martial artist. And basically the mission was all complete. So I really enjoyed reading this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Color Classics. I don't want to give too much away because, well, number one, I did the in-depth comic review on... And number two, I already did, and I did the review of this on my comic book corner. And plus, I want to recommend you guys to get the comic book, so I won't give too much away, short and sweet, but definite 5 out of 5. Best comic of the week. You guys should pick it up. I don't know about best comic of the week, because right behind that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 18. This is the best comic book of the month, even though it was a week late. This book was awesome. The Turtles are stuck in Dimension X. While back on Earth, I just want to point this part out really quick. I love this page here where Splinter is talking with April and Casey, who told Splinter that the Turtles disappeared, and he gets so pissed off you just see him snap a
broomstick in half, and then he comes down. He's like, "No, I'm sure I trained my sons well." So they're stuck in Dimension Z, and they're fighting with the against Krang, and they don't even know what's going on. They're like, "What's going on? You guys have to explain stuff." A princess gets captured, and we all know how Mikey is. Mikey goes to the rescue. Unfortunately, he only saves the princess and not the king and queen. Back on Earth, April does more digging to find out if there's anything else, and she finds out about, spoiler alert here, Burnow Island, and somehow Cowrie is there, and she's going to Burnow Island as well, I guess. And this is where Honeycutt shows that he is the Fugitoid to the Turtles. And I love Mikey. He's like, "Oh, that's so cool," and Donnie's just admiring the whole android thing, and then Honeycutt explains the entire background story in like literally 2-3 pages, the whole sum up of the Technodrome, how Krang destroyed that world and he wants to change Earth to his world and live there for the rest of his life. And then it goes to Krang, who says that he has the princess's father and mother, and he's going to start killing people if he doesn't get the Fugitoid. And there's a lot of other stuff I left out. Why? Because you got to start buying this book. I know a lot of people are saying I give a little too much away, and that's why they don't buy the book. Well, I left a whole lot out, and I'll be honest with you guys, it's an awesome book. This is an awesome book, best book of the week. I love this book. I enjoy it each and every time it comes out. I have a feeling issue 19 is going to come out this month too, because this was supposed to come out last month. It was actually slated to come out the second to last week, and then the last week, and now February 6th it's here. So I have a feeling issue 19 is going to be the end of this month. Maybe. I could be wrong. But beside the point, this was an awesome book. Absolutely say check it out. Now we go into the big two. First we have Smallville Season 11, issue number 10. Bart is trying to show Clark this speed demon, or this shadow. In the back here in the sketch they call it what's it called? Black Flash.
Ooh, nice preview cover.
Yeah, I like the back. It gives you a little sketch art for the covers and art like that there. So Clark promises Bart that he's going to find a way to save him, while Lois is doing some digging of her own to find something to put Lex away because of all the stuff he's been doing. And once again, tons of connections to the series. There was, in the very beginning, when Bart was explaining about the Black Flash, as they say it, they reference back to when Bart was held captive by Lex. You remember when he had to keep running to stay alive?
The Superhuman League. I think that's what.
And then they go back to the Luthor Corp industry site where, if you guys remember the Justice episode, they actually have the picture over here of the Justice League, the part where Clark and all the others were walking.
Yeah, with that stance where they're walking while exploding.
I love how it goes. I love how it references the series. It goes back.
Yeah, but isn't it like it already happened, and it's kind of like
it's kind of redoing.
I mean, I know it's good.
Form.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like redoing the whole thing.
Also, wherever Bart's been lately, somebody gets like engulfed in this type of speed force and aged all the way to death. And Lex gives an ultimatum to Tess. He says to either tell him what's going on, or he's going to give himself brain damage and cut out the piece of brain that she's living in. And of course we know Tess isn't going to say anything, while Lois is still trying to find information out. And then at the very end of the episode, the issue, we find out that the Chloe from the other dimension is not Earth 2, whatever Earth she's from, or the other reality or whatnot, the doppelganger as they call her, is being kept alive through the technology from Mr. Freeze, and Chloe is going to be actually going into her other person's mind. And we do get a look at the JSA again, because it turns out Clark and Bart, spoiler alert, are going to be going to look for Jay Garrick.
Justice Society of America, that's who they were called.
Justice Society. And I won't say what Chloe sees when she goes into her doppelganger's mind. We'll have to save that for issue 11 when it comes out. But this is a spectacular issue once again. I only wish that this would have stayed on TV. It would have been really fun to watch. I don't know if he would have been wearing this costume, but yeah, he probably would have, knowing
because he's Superman. I mean,
yeah, and the revamp with Don't even get me started. I saw the revamp of what Raven looks like. You don't want to know.
That bad?
Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
Oh boy.
It's bad. I'm surprised I'm buying as many DC books as I am. I'm just trying to hold on to what little is left, and that leads me into this book, which I wanted to give the second shot to. A second shot.
Second.
And I don't know if I'm coming back for the next issue. It's Earth 2, issue 9. The whole point of this was they said that in this issue we get the first appearance of the current day, or the new DCU Dr. Fate. And we do. Except he refuses to put on his helmet again because he's telling Hawkgirl it drives him insane. So he refuses to become Dr. Fate and save Jay, but in his mind he still has the helmet, the Anubis, or I forgot what he calls it, the oh god, I forgot what he called it. He said at the end, Naboo, I believe it was called, the realm of Naboo. Yeah. So he has the helmet still talking with him in his head. He sent the helmet far away so he can never become Dr. Fate again. Jay goes home, and it turns out his mother knows that he's the Flash because of the Atom Smasher and the government who want to capture him. That doesn't work out. Dr. Fate does step in, not as Dr. Fate, but as himself, and they get whisked away by magic to the realm of Naboo, as I just said. And then at the very end, they get to meet somebody. They come face to face with somebody. I'll spoil it. I'm giving you guys the count of 3, and then you're going to be spoiled. 3, 2, 1. It is Wotan, I believe is how you pronounce it, Wotan. For those of you that watch Young Justice, and he was also in Justice League Unlimited. I don't know if it was Wotan or Wutan. Yeah, they come face to face with him at the end of this issue. This issue I was expecting a lot because I saw Dr. Fate, I saw the sketch of the new costume and everything, and I was really looking forward to seeing him, and then I read this, and it turns out Dr. Fate, we all know Dr. Fate doesn't want to be Dr. Fate when he's out of the helmet, but come on. The whole point was the first appearance of Dr. Fate. Yes, it's the appearance of his human form, but I was expecting him to at least put the helmet on at the last page. Or something. I guess I'll see what comes out the week Earth 2 issue 10 comes out, and I'll see if I'll get the next issue. I'm not going to say I was bored, but it was kind of like, okay. It was okay. It was like, I finished reading this, I was like, okay, alright. So, I don't know. Once again, I've never really read JSA, so I'm really not upset with all the stuff that they're doing to the JSA, and anybody who is upset, well, now you feel my pain with Superman, and if you're a Raven fan, you feel the pain of all the Raven fans out there as well. So,
okay, we have Green Arrow issue number 17 with the new writer Jeff Lemire and art by Andrea Sorrentino. And I have to say, both were a success. There is no debate of whether I'm going to drop it or not, because I'm going to keep it, actually.
But I heard Jeff Lemire did a really good job.
Yes, Jeff Lemire, because he writes Justice League Dark. I mean, the story, it's just amazing. But basically, guys, it starts off where Green Arrow has this little thing about when he was a superhero, not anymore. There is a confrontation where he has with Emerson, and something like happens to Emerson where I'm like, yay, but at the same time I kind of felt bad, you know, because you kind of feel bad for the characters and all that. And Green Arrow's trying to find out like who's behind all this scam. And then meanwhile he's talking to Jax and Naomi with that happening. I want to give some artwork. I'll give you this. Artwork's great.
So that's the iVampire artist.
Yeah, so I have no complaints about that. They said iVampire was great. Someone told me. And
the artwork in it.
The artwork, yeah. So we meet up with this person over here who has a fight with Green Arrow. Komodo, his name is. And it's like hour to hour how they have the fight scene. I like the fight sequence that happens. But there's a certain person who saves him and also tells him that he was never supposed to leave the island. And who that person is, you're going to have to read this comic book, where in the next issue we'll talk about the secrets of Komodo. Or you just watch my in-depth comic review, up to you guys. But Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino, which I do welcome aboard. Amazing
I'm
job.
glad you welcomed them aboard like you work for DC.
No, I mean to the Green Arrow series. I meant to do that.
Glad you're a self-representative.
You guys should absolutely pick it up. Great story. Looking forward to seeing the secrets of the Komodo, and not disappointment. So I'll be keeping it. Okay.
Next, we have a two-parter, and literally, it is a cross cover. Literally, you can put the covers together. I'm gonna make sure I got it. You can literally make a picture with the two covers. Animal Man and Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing being the end, so let's start with Animal Man. Animal Man, I love the artwork in this book. I've always loved the artwork in Animal Man. And story-wise, Animal Man is attacking the Justice League of America, and somewhere into the book we find out that the Green Lantern senses the green, which is on the other side of the castle. They're on the other side of the castle.
Oh, I like that.
So, basically these two books happen one right after the other. Literally, they're not happening mirrored to each other anymore. And it has Swamp Thing versus the Justice League on his side, and Animal Man versus the Justice League on his side. But this book does a fair focus on Swamp Thing as well. Swamp Thing was focused for a while in this book before it slid back to Animal Man, and there were a few deaths in this book. There were a few, and Shepherd actually comes to the rescue, and the men and the fighters from the Red also, the warriors from the Red also come, and they start fighting against the Rot. And well, let's just say the Green Lantern doesn't meet with a very happy, honorable end, and one of the characters becomes a Green Lantern. I'm not going to say who. Read the book and you will find out. But it basically ends with Swamp Thing and Animal Man being confronted by Anton Arcane. And I could spoil it because it's going to go right into Swamp Thing. It turns out that he has a bunch of Abby clones as well as Maxine, now of course part of the Rot, going after Buddy and Alec. Which then leads into this. And here's my first complaint. Now, for those of you who've been reading Swamp Thing right along, you're going to open the page expecting to see artwork that you've seen before. And I saw it in the preview as well. That's exactly what you don't see. Obviously, the artist for this book changed. And the art wasn't as good as Animal Man, in my opinion. However, I could read it and I didn't have a problem with the artwork. I'm just saying it changed, and it shouldn't have changed at least until after this issue. The artist should have stayed on for one more issue, but he didn't. So we have Swamp Thing versus the Abby clones and Animal Man versus Maxine, and they have to get that robot that Batman built up into the atmosphere so it could rain down what was it called? The stuff that made Swamp Thing. Anyway, it's going to rain down and it's going to bring the green back, and that's what's going to destroy the Rot and stop Anton Arcane. So throughout most of the book, it's Swamp Thing trying to get the green up into the atmosphere to explode, and Anton tries to stop him. Animal Man jumps in to save the day after absorbing the red from Beast Boy, actually. Beast Boy gives him a bit of a boost with his powers. And everything looks great. You know, Anton was beaten. However, he escapes while the Rot is being destroyed, and he escapes back in time, where he threatens to start all over again. And that's where, and I'm going to spoil this, Swamp Thing and Animal Man are confronted by the Rot. Not just the Rot, but the avatars, the big ones of the Rot. And they're telling Swamp Thing and Animal Man, listen, we made a mistake. It's Anton Arcane's heart that is black, not the Rot's. We want to keep everything even, and Anton he's perverting and destroying everything. He will destroy the world and destroy everything. We're going to send you back in time to try to stop him, but we can only do it once. And Animal Man's not trusting it. Swamp Thing says, yeah, it's true, we can't trust him, but what can we do? We have to try. So if you're looking for the almighty conclusion to Rot World, yes, they are no longer in Rot World. However, this story does not end until issues 18 of both Animal Man and Swamp Thing. Issue 18 will be the epilogue, where they'll go back in time, try to prevent Anton Arcane from starting Rot World, which obviously we all know they will, because this is not an imaginary story. They'll stop Anton, and they're both going to go off in their separate directions. I believe Jeff Lemire is leaving Animal Man. I don't know if Scott Snyder's leaving Swamp Thing.
No, didn't he say he was staying for a couple more issues?
I believe so. I don't know if Scott Snyder's staying on Swamp Thing either. So I'm excited and also worried about the future after Rot World for both Animal Man and Swamp Thing. However, if they continue in the path that they've been going since issue 1, I'm not too afraid. I think that they'll both be okay. They'll both survive. To be honest with you guys, the dark side of DC Comics has been getting a lot of interest. So I think that Swamp Thing and Animal Man will stick around for a bit. After Rot World, I don't see this title as being canceled anytime soon. The full Rot World, I would say it was a good 3 and 4, let's say 4 stars, between 3 and 4 stars, 3.5 to 4 stars. It was a good series, point A to point B. However, Rot World ends with kind of like, we'll see you in the epilogue for the full conclusion. But I loved it. I loved Animal Man's artwork. I'm a little annoyed that they changed artists on Swamp Thing. Literally, 1 issue left with Rot World. They could have kept the artist. But that's my only gripe there. So both books were really good. And I highly recommend you guys check out Swamp Thing as well as Animal Man. After this whole crossing with the Rot and everything, once they separate, we'll see if I recommend both books still. But for now, you have to buy one and the other to get the full story. So we're leaving DC now, and we're going into Marvel, and the first book is Avengers, issue number 5. I have these in no specific order, except for the number 1 that came out this week, which will be last, and I believe I have a few other books at the tip top that I want to discuss last. This book was really good. Once again, it tells you about Smasher while continuing forward in a story. Smasher, we find out, is she gains her powers because the previous Smasher was destroyed and killed. She finds it in a field. That's what the cover is. In her field, in her farm field in Idaho. She puts it on, gets transported into space. I'm leaving out all of the rest of the background. You guys can read the book yourself. It's really good. The artwork's really good as well. And she finds out all about the cosmic stuff, where she's just a sub-guardian to the Super Guardians. And we find a little bit more out about the being that the Avengers took back from Mars from the garden, and we find out his name is Black Veil, and Tony's starting to decipher his language piece by piece. So that'll be interesting as time goes on. Then we go back to Smasher, who she had a call for help. There was a call for help. She shows up with a bunch of Avengers, obviously, because it's the Avengers. I mean, you gotta have the Avengers there. And I love how Bruce Banner, he comes in, he's Bruce Banner, and then all of a sudden she's like, he's like, maybe you should run and we'll take care of everything. She's like, I'm not going to run. I mean, we're facing an endless alien armada. What's a Smasher to do? And I love how he becomes the Hulk, and the Hulk's like, smash. And then it's just an all-out fight with the Avengers and this army. And we think that they're invading, and then the Super Guardians show up. And spoiler alert, I will spoil this. Smasher is promoted from a sub-guardian to a super guardian. Oh. And there's a lot in her past that I'm going to leave out, but the last page is the biggest one. It turns out that the people that were attacking weren't invading, they were running from not something, but someone. Next issue involves Captain Universe. And, as a matter of fact, I will say this, next week Avengers and Superior Spider-Man are not coming out. So whoever said they were coming out 3 weeks in a row, they were wrong. But however, I have a feeling in 2 weeks I'm going to see Avengers and Superior Spider-Man. It's just my feeling. I just have this gut feeling I will. So the next issue is Captain Universe. But until then, this was a good issue. I enjoyed it, just like the Hyperion one. Get the background on the character, as well as a story attached to it. And it's all leading into something. We just don't know yet what. I do notice, though, that the Avengers are very cosmic. This first story arc and the stories that are following it are very cosmic, all space-centered. And to be honest, I've never really delved into a lot of reading into the space, the galactic side of the Marvel U. So I'm enjoying the fact that they're in space. Well, even Iron Man's in space, and he's going to be joining the Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's going to be interesting because now I see a lot of the characters are aiming towards space. Thor was in space for a bit, even though it's not the main focus of the Thor God of Thunder series. But I'm enjoying this, and I can't wait to see what happens next in the Avengers. I have 2.5 minutes before we have to switch over, so let's give this book a go. Daredevil, End of Days, issue 5 of 8. Okay, he doesn't die.
Alright,
I will spoil that. Punisher doesn't die, but he does escape from prison.
I gotta see this.
He escapes from prison after hearing the word Maypone from Ben Urich, and he knows what it means. He knows what it means, but he's not going to tell Ben Urich. But he does mention that there might have been others that he trained. It was in the preview, guys, so I'm not really spoiling much. You could check out the preview and you'll see the exact same. There might have been disciples, he said. He doesn't know. So Ben Urich then goes to Gladiator for help. And he has a costume company, and he never made a... he doesn't make Daredevil costumes. He makes all other superhero costumes except Daredevil. And then he corrects himself. He's like, wait, I did make one, and it was for Matt Murdock, except it was smaller. And that's when Ben actually calls Spider-Man Peter Parker. And I also like that the Daredevil, if you look really close, he's watching Ben Urich. And Pete does call him back and leaves a message saying, I can't help you. There's nothing I can do. I wish I could, but good luck. So Ben goes to Bushwhacker, I believe his name is, and that's where he finds out that the Punisher broke out of jail. And yeah, it's Supervillain versus Bushwhacker, and Ben Urich gets knocked out of the window. And I am going to spoil the end of this book because I can't wait for the next issue, and I believe we all knew this was coming. There's a Daredevil chasing after Ben Urich, who's falling out of the building. So I have a feeling this will be the replacement. I don't believe it's
So why do they
Daredevil.
have the Punisher cover with him dead at a steering wheel?
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, but every cover has a dead superhero or supervillain on it lately, so... Every issue.
Well, that can never
they had
happen,
Elektra
really.
hanging, they had this. Elektra's not dead either, but they had a picture of her hanging, so... I like it. He was still looking for Maypone. I think he's going to get some answers in the next issue, but to think there are still 3 more issues to go, this story is really running thin fast. Because I feel like I'm reading the same thing over
With Napalm
over.
also.
You know? It's the same thing, except he's going to different people, and in each issue, it's more and more different people. Mike, you might want to go behind the camera because we're going to switch over, but I don't know. It's like, I feel like there's 3 issues to go. Why drop it now? But that's still $12 worth of issues, and I don't know. I really don't. I'm gonna go into the next issue to see about the new Daredevil. But after that, if it's still the same thing, I'm probably for 2 more issues. I'm gonna save my $10 or my $8 and just forego the rest of the series. But for now, yeah. So guys, we're gonna give this test. Let's hope that I'll see you guys in a few seconds. But we're going to switch over to the next part, so we'll see you guys in a few moments. And welcome back, guys. So hopefully you'll be seeing this all as one part. If not, this is part 2. So we have now the New Avengers issue 3. And as you guys saw from the preview, because it was all over the place, you can go check it out at comicrelated.com. They did have the previews up for Marvel. It turns out that Charles Xavier left a note for Beast, and Beast is now the guardian of one of the Infinity Gems. You guys saw this in the preview. And yes, Beast basically that means joins the New Avengers. And they're going to put the Infinity Gauntlet together to try to stop the worlds from colliding. And also they have these things that they put in their hands now that have like this sciencey stuff. It's Reed Richards. What do you want? But it does give simple. It does reach out to the members like run, fight, assemble, etc. And it does a bunch of other things. So anyway, we also have Reed Richards talking with the woman from the doomed world before, and she keeps saying, "Whatever your plan is, it's foolish. It's not going to work, and you're going to fail." And yeah, and he's like, and she's like, he actually, Reed tells her, I pity the things you cling to, and she says, you pity me, I pity you, thinking you have some say in how this all ends. And then 4 days later, yeah, it happens. So they go to the worlds that are colliding, and they create the Infinity Gauntlet, which does also alert. You see the Watcher on the moon, you see Galactus on Yule-Halt Prime, and you see, oh god, Thanos on Titan, all knowing that the Infinity Gems are back together in the Gauntlet. And Cap actually wields the Gauntlet, and everything looks great, except the Infinity Gauntlet doesn't work. And this is a huge spoiler, guys, so you might want to fast forward. I'm not even going to show the image here, but you can fast forward for like 4 or 5, like less than 20 seconds from now. The Infinity Gems shatter, except one, the Time Gem, which just disappears. And obviously the Time Gem disappeared because eventually maybe the Time Gem will jump back into time and save the other gems before they explode and shatter, and thus the Infinity Gauntlet will come back together
what
again.
If they all shattered? Like, let's just say.
Then that's it, but the Time Gem didn't, it just disappeared.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So, Cap failed. The mission failed, and they're all yelling at each other, and Cap's like, no matter what, Black Panther, you gotta have my back. We can't let everybody fall into what they want to do. And there's a huge debate. And I'm not gonna say how it ends, but let's just say I don't think that Captain America's on the new Avengers anymore. You have to read this book to know, but I will say that I don't believe, and the cover says it all, I don't believe Cap is, let's just say Cap's not gonna know or remember anything. I'm not going to say how. Read the last page, but yeah, I think Captain America's off the new Avengers team. Or at least the Illuminati. I think he's going to be gone from, or just this mission. You'll have to read the book to find out, but whoa. And they're going to do what they set out. First of all, I'm pissed off that Black Panther went against Captain America. Second of all, I agree with Captain America. After they do this, if anything goes wrong, it's on them, and also this is something they're going to have to live with for the rest of their lives, and it's going to, yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I feel bad, I really do, but who knows, maybe Cap will come back, maybe Black Panther will save, I don't know. There's so many different things that could happen, but this was really good. I really enjoyed this also. We'll see where the next story arc goes, if I keep it or not, but yeah.
Alright, Thunderbolts issue number 4. This was an okay issue. Not saying it's terrible, not saying it's really good. It was on the fence of it was okay.
So you're on the fence with the full series, or just...
Well, I'm gonna give it another chance still, but it's just, you know...
Well, you do know that's the only Punisher book very soon.
And that's true, too, because it's a Punisher book. But basically, from last issue, guys, it leads off to, after Punisher headshot Samuel. They meet up with Man-Man. I'll give you some artwork, which is good.
That was not artwork, that's an advertisement.
I know, this page I showed. Yeah. I'll show this one, actually. Deadpool and the Punisher fight with Man-Man, while meanwhile we get a little bit of Samuel's side of the story when he talks to his brother, what was his name? Philip. And they talk about things. The only thing that I have a little bit of, and with the comic book, is that it goes back and forth. Like, this side was saying now, and then decades ago, and I mean, it was kind of confusing when it was like 5 weeks later. It was like going back and forth, but it related to the story of what's going on. But long story short, we get to Elektra, where she's talking to the minister about, you know...
Boy, she don't look too hot.
Yeah, after Man-Man, which he did to her, yeah. And they have a little talk scene while Punisher and Deadpool still find Man-Man, and won't tell you how that ended for Man-Man. You're just going to have to read the comic book. But the ending to be continued, someone does something that I didn't think was going to happen, but yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what happens, but I mean, would I recommend you guys buy? I mean, you can if you want.
The artwork is going to change at some point.
Oh, probably, but it was okay, so I'll be looking forward to getting the next issue of Thunderbolts, since it is the only Punisher comic book I'm reading, but more along the lines of story is still, I just hope in the next issue I don't see it going here, there, and everywhere, and Green Eggs and Ham, Dr. Seuss reference, and yeah. So let's see.
Speaking of Venom, Venom issue 31, now in Marvel Now. Anything with the red bar is Marvel Now. Also, Scarlet Spider next week is going to be joining the Marvel Now line. How long these red bars will be under the comics is probably indefinite. So, anyway, I love this cover. This issue is really more of a, I don't want to say filler, but it's more of a transfer issue, not a transfer from one play. It's more of a transition story. There's the word. So, Flash is now living in Philadelphia. He's moving into his new apartment, and he meets his new neighbor who's a jerk, and another neighbor who she's sort of nice, and then she's like, whatever, I got places to be. He's enjoying where he's living. And the book goes back and forth from him moving in to flashbacks. This one scene is where he's talking with Pete. This is pre Amazing Spider-Man 698 to 700, so this is Peter Parker he's talking to, and he's saying his goodbye to Pete. Then you get his first night on patrol in Philadelphia, where he actually makes mention that there are basically no superheroes that live in Philadelphia, and that's why there's so much stuff going on. We then get the next flashback, which is him saying goodbye to his mom. We then jump back again. I do like how, and this must be, somebody mentioned this is an homage to Spawn, and I kind of agree, where Venom doesn't want the world to know Venom is around, and especially that he's in Pennsylvania, so he has to hide. He has to be a superhero at night, but he has to hide in the shadows. So he hides himself. One of his disguises is Hail Mary, as he calls it, the Mother Superior of Punishment, and that's where the chains and everything come in, to scare a bunch of thugs. And it succeeds, and Flash thinks it's hilarious. And then he also is talking about the stuff he's supposed to inject into himself to keep the symbiote in check and doped up so it doesn't take over his being. And then he knocks out. We get another flashback where he wanted to say goodbye to Betty, but yeah, she wasn't there. And then he wakes up. It's the next day. All the boxes have been, like, he falls asleep and his entire house is still all boxes. He had nothing taken out. He wakes up and his entire house is done. Like, literally, completely done. And it turns out it's the police at his door, and they make mention that his mean neighbor, somebody broke in, and he's going to be in a coma for a while. And Flash is starting to say, oh God, please tell me it's not me, but I have this scary feeling that it is. And then the last page is what I believe is going, since this is a transition issue, I believe I can tell you guys everything because you all know what's coming. In New York, you have somebody knocking at Flash Thompson's old door. And this nice old woman comes out and says, he moved to Philadelphia or something. And it turns out, spoiler alert, it's Eddie Brock. And he's like, oh, too bad I missed him. I hate that he skipped town like that without so much as a goodbye for his good old pal, Eddie. And then next issue is New Town. So this feels more like a transition from the last story arc to the Venom versus Toxin story arc, which is coming very soon in the Venom title. I liked it. It was a good transition book. Was it the best story out there? No. And, you know, Venom has a ways to go before. I mean, when I first started reading Venom, it was awesome. And then it went kind of down, minimal carnage. And now it's just clawing its way back up piece by piece. But it's still good. I would definitely say to check out Venom. I'm enjoying it. Would I like to see Eddie Brock back as Venom at some point? Of course. But now that he's Toxin, I highly doubt that. That's like Eddie Brock being the anti-Venom at this point, yeah. Speaking of cosmic, Iron Man issue 6. It's Iron Man's birthday, and he's in space. And as you can see, this is going to be an AVX tie-in, so to speak. Oh. So Iron Man's in space, and he's saving
I like that page.
This galactic, what were they called? The Voldy. The Voldy people, because they're being attacked, so he's fighting, and then the rest of the book is a lot of talking. The woman that he saved, this princess, she's explaining all about the Voldy and people that are on the ship, and yeah, she's basically flirting with Tony Stark, and Tony's flirting back with her, and he's loving every moment of it. And that's basically a lot of the book until he takes his helmet off. And she sees his goatee, apparently. It's hilarious. She's like, what's that? She actually throws up. And she's like, what's that on your face? He's like, my beard? She's like, you chose to have that? She said, I'd rather mate with it. Well, I don't want to say what she'd rather mate with, but because he has the beard and the goatee, he's considered the most grotesque person on the ship. And she's like, leave and never darken my door again. And then Iron Man gets attacked, and he fights back because he thinks that they're assassins or something trying to destroy him, and it turns out they're police. He's put into a jail, or a space jail, and he's charged with being a god killer. He's like, I never killed any god. She's like, the Void Falcon, or as most would call it, the Phoenix is gone. And he's like, oh, that god. To be continued. I left out a lot of dialogue. If you're interested in seeing Tony Stark swoon a purple alien princess using Star Trek references, yeah. First part of the new story arc, I'm going to give it some slack. Because it ended where the story should have really... It ended where it should have been in the middle of the book. Instead it ended where it ended, and now we have to wait for part 2 of this story arc to figure out what's going on, but... Once again, it was a lot of filler. It felt like filler. It's like Tony Stark is seducing a purple alien. Woo! And then at the end of the story, he gets arrested for killing the Phoenix, and charged with killing the Phoenix Force. That should have been in the middle of the book instead of like 20 pages of Tony Stark flirting with this woman who is explaining about her race that we're probably all going to forget about by the time this story arc is done. So, that takes points off of this book, in my opinion. I did say this story arc was going to make or break it, and I love the new suit, don't get me wrong, and I'm going to take this story arc all the way to the end, but if this book doesn't start doing something, and it's just all about Tony Stark flirting with alien chicks, I'm sorry, but this book will be on my drop pile, because now it's just out of control, him just talking, it's just a lot of talking about nonsense. Half this book was nonsense.
Alright, we go into this X Factor 251 Hell on Earth Part 2. It continues, and this comic book was really, really awesome. I'm telling you, it just keeps getting more awesome. By the way, we do get introduced to new team members of Darwin and Tyre. I couldn't believe Darwin was actually in the on the team. But we start off where Monet is pretty pissed off with Darwin after the whole destruction of what's been going on. I like this page right here. Artwork's still amazing, I have to say that much. And they're surrounding them because they want to kill Tyre, who is the 7 billionth person on Earth. But we learn a little bit about that as the page goes on, but I'm telling you before time of that. So we get a fight scene where they're fighting them. Somebody, Mephisto, I think that's how you say it, got hold of Tyre, but I won't say who betrayed him, and I was a little bit in the in-depth review, but I said it in the in-depth review of who did it, and that winds up joining the X Factor team. And then meanwhile, they're talking about why they're going after Tyre, being, like I said before, the 7 billion person who walks the earth. And they're saying no matter what, you know, there's no way out of this. And then
they have to fight.
They have to fight. But in the end, somebody comes in saying, give me the boy now. And things do not look so good for the X Factor team. And Shatterstar got his, was it Shatterstar got his arms broken? Was it? I want to just check. Yeah, it was Shatterstar, yeah. But the two Hell on Earth, because this is only a two-parter, they're conjoined together. But this was really awesome, guys. I mean, if you haven't read parts 1 and 2, you really should. Amazing comic book from Marvel. Definitely pick up for this week. And I think that's it for this week, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Superior Spider-Man issue 3. Carly is really getting close to figuring out that somebody else is in Pete's body, because Pete is acting anything but himself. I love the beginning of the book where Spidey Ock comes to the signal, which is kind of like Batman. Everybody's going to say that. And he makes, and there's a little to Batman because he's like, why would I want a beacon to show all my enemies where exactly I am? He's like, J. Jonah Jameson's smarter than that. He's like, yeah, you're right. And he gives J. Jonah Jameson a different way to contact him and whatnot, a cell number. And then we go back to the police station where Spidey is, or Ock is working on the lens, his spider mask lens. Yes. And you have Pete in the background, and Pete's even warning Carly, careful, you're getting too close there. But she knows. She knows that something's different with Pete. And then Doc Ock's having a flashback of his own, using his own memory, and somehow Spider-Man, Peter Parker, gets whisked into the memory, and he's no longer, like he said, 1 second I was web-slinging next to Ock, and now I'm in his memory. And he's just watching it. He's watching the whole thing pan out. And while back in reality, though, it's Spider-Man versus Vulture. And Doc Ock actually offers him, he says, look, leave your life of crime now. I'll give you, you stop. Stop right now. No more crime schemes or master plans. Walk away from this life and I'll give you everything you've ever wanted. And he's like, what do you say? He's like, your jokes aren't funny. And that's when he sends his minions after Spider-Man. And it turns out Doc Ock finds out that one of the minions is a boy. And it turns out that Vulture isn't hiring midgets or dwarves. He's using kids, little children. And actually before that, when Ock says, I'm going to stop thinking, time to focus, the memory freezes. And Spider-Man's like, oh, so now everything's frozen. And then the memory changes to a point where Doc Ock was getting slapped around by his dad, and that's what infuriates Doc Ock as Spider-Man and sends him hell-bent on a tangent towards Vulture. However, he runs out of web fluid. I haven't seen that in a long time in the Spider books.
Yeah.
But he does have a plan, and this is a spoiler alert here. This plan does involve the most likely, not 100% sure because it ends there, the most likely death of the Vulture. And this is where Carly says, you killed him. You swore what kind of a man are you now? And Pete actually, he gets whisked out of the memory and back into reality. And he's like, actually, Otto, God help her, I think she does know. And, if Carly knows, that puts her life in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. And you're just smiling because you're happy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if it's Carly, hey.
Lot of stuff. I did leave a lot of stuff out. I gave you guys the major bullet points. But basically, the whole point of this issue is Carly is catching the scent of Dr. Octopus inside Pete's body. So she's on the hunt. Now she just has to figure everything out. And if she does, I don't know what that's going to do. But there is rumor that Superior Spider-Man 9 and 10, the fans that got mad at the end of 700 are going to get even angrier when they read issue 9 and 10.
No. Oh, please tell me that Pete doesn't lose.
I don't know, but there's still going to be a major Spider-Man event.
Oh, no, come on. You can't be serious if... Ugh.
All new X-Men issue 7. Young Cyclops comes face to face with Mystique. And Mystique is explaining how she respected Charles Xavier, she loved him. But first, before that, he's in the bank. He goes to a bank where he has a safety deposit box. And in the safety deposit box is this visor that he used to wear that fits young Cyclops, and a bunch of money, a passport, and then some type of a white envelope that says, "The honor of your presence is requested." He takes it and looks at it and puts it in his pocket. But the police are called because everybody thinks it's Cyclops. The Cyclops is wanted by the police. And Mystique comes to the rescue in the form of Wolverine. And she has her own agenda, but it looks like throughout this whole book that she just wants to help Cyclops. She's like, you got to shut down your future self, and you got to shut down that school because it's a perverted redo of what Charles Xavier wanted. This is not Charles Xavier's dream. And that's basically it. There's a lot more dialogue, but once again, gonna have to read the book to find out. Wolverine shows up, takes him back to school, and it turns out Mystique also has an ulterior motive. Gonna have to check that out on your own. Gonna skip most of that. Cyclops does end up giving Jean Grey what that you're an honored guest of, and it turns out it was the wedding invite for him and Jean Grey, and you see Jean like crying in shock kind of, and Cyclops walking away. Hopefully young Cyclops is going to take the reins as the leader of this X-Men team again, now that he's finally back at the school. He's not running away anymore or anything, we hope. But yeah, that was a good ending. This was an awesome ending. One of my favorite books. Left out a lot of dialogue for a reason, guys. It's very, very good, and definitely something you guys will want to check out. I'm really loving this book. I know this is a lot of people's favorite book in the Marvel Now world. I'm really loving it. I can't wait to see where this book is eventually going to go. I want to see Cyclops young versus Cyclops old. Hopefully we'll get that. Finally, and this is the Scotty Young Baby variant, Fearless Defenders. First of all, I'll give it the good stuff. I do like the artwork. The story was interesting, and for those of you out there that get a jolly off of certain things, there is definitely girl-on-girl stuff for you. So, yeah. Where to start with this book? Misty Knight was sent to find an artifact, and at first she's thinking it's these guys that aren't really good. They're not mercenaries or anything. It turns out they're mercenaries, and a lot of people want the stuff on this ship. Especially one thing, one specific corpse, so to speak. And they end up getting it, but Misty Knight walks away with an artifact, which she then brings to her friend, Dr. Annabelle Riggs. I don't know any of these characters except for Valkyrie, by the way. And that's only through Secret Avengers, really. So, she's trying to figure out the artifact, and it turns out she pushes a button on it, or a seam, and it starts to play a song. And let's not forget that at this moment where they are, they're at a grave site, a mass Viking grave site. Thus the connection between Valkyrie and everything else. So, it brings the dead back to life, basically. So it's up to Misty to stop them. Enter, of course, then you guys saw the preview, Valkyrie. And it's Misty Knight and Valkyrie versus the dead. And then you get that girl-on-girl moment, and then Valkyrie destroys the artifact, which stops the song, and the dead go back to being the dead. So she wants to go to the All-Mother and consult her about what's going on, and Annabelle says, I'm going with you. She's like, no, you're not. She's like, oh yeah, I'll dig up an artifact to bring you back and force you to do what I want. And she's like, well countered. So all three of them are leaving to the All-Mother. And she explains that the people that were brought back, the messenger sang the song, sang of a blighted host of slaughter and carrion, the filth and vermin, deceit and insanity, of torture and seduction, and of rage. It says the Doom Maidens are rising, and it's my fault. To be continued.
Wow.
Okay. This book was a really good book. I will say that. The artwork, the story, really good. Unfortunately, I cannot buy every Marvel Now book under the sun, so I will not be back for the next issue. This book just doesn't hold me as much as all the other Marvel Now books have. And in a way, thank God. So, less money that I have to worry about spending when all the Marvel Now books are finally all released, and they're like 20 books a week. But the Fearless Defenders just didn't do it for me like all the other books have so far. I think the only other book that, first of all, you guys know how I felt about FF. That was one book I decided to get in trade. AA, another book I decided to get in trade, Avengers Arena, because a lot of people are like, what's AA? This book, I don't even feel like I would like to buy it in trade. It just, the story, the whole thing just did not grip me as much as I thought. First of all, I'm not a huge fan of Valkyrie. Second of all, I don't know really much about Misty Knight. So, this story just, as much as I'm sure a lot of you out there did enjoy this, it's one of the books that just did not grip me, and especially with a lot more books still to come in number ones, you know, a lot more number ones coming. Yeah, this is definitely a book it was good. I enjoyed it, but I just don't have an urge to pick up the next issue. That's just me. But it was a good book. I will say that. And guys, that's it for this week's Dark Avenger comic book review.
So go back there and see you guys later.
So guys, thanks for staying tuned. Hopefully this will all be in one part. We'll see. If it is, hopefully at some point also there'll be an intro and an outro. And yeah, there's a lot I'm going to be working on. And you'll see in this video and in future videos, if it does work, I'll be working on trying to add a little bit more to each of the comic reviews until I come to some type of a norm or a new type of way that I'll be running the comic reviews. So, Fearless Defenders #1. It was a good book, but my interest in it just isn't there, so I won't be coming back. But once again, it's still a good book. I leave it up to you guys. All New X-Men issue 7 was awesome. Definitely check it out. As well as Superior Spider-Man 3. Doc Ock is definitely starting to wear on me a bit. And also, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Pete. X-Factor #251.
Awesome issue. You guys got to get it.
Iron Man #6. If they're going to keep going with the yada 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 and then at the very end of the issue the actual story begins, this book is going to be disappearing really quick soon. But yeah, it's a lot of talky and nothing really too involved with the main story that's going to be happening in the next issue, so it's up to you guys. Venom #31 was really good. Once again, it's a transition issue, but I leave it up to you guys. Thunderbolts issue 4.
Okay issue, I'll give it another chance.
New Avengers issue 3. Cap is out, but I'm still in. Really enjoying New Avengers. We'll see where the second story arc goes, and then I'll go with my decision there. Daredevil End of Days 5 of 8. If they do another issue where he's looking for Maypone, I'm done. Seriously, this is like the 3rd issue in a row where he's just literally searching for what Maypone is. And he finally figured it out. The next issue, the only reason I'm getting it is because probably it's going to reveal the new Daredevil. Or it might be Matt, who knows. Avengers 5 was awesome. Definitely check it out. Swamp Thing 17 and Animal Man 17 both were awesome. A little shocking with the artwork change in Swamp Thing, but yeah. Green Arrow 17.
Great issue. Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino. Great to be on there.
Earth 2 #9. I leave up to you guys. I might come back, probably not. Smallville issue 10 was good. Loved this book. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 18 is the book of the month for last month because I believe it was supposed to come out then, and then the color classics
yeah,
there.
book of the week. Love the buy exchange story, and yeah.
So guys, thanks for being here this week. Don't forget to check out comicrelated.com for all your comic related news, reviews, and more. Also, don't forget to check out facebook.com/DarkAvengerINC for all your Dark Avenger Inc. news, and also bkbn.net for even more news, reviews, and stuff in the comic, toy, and gaming industries. Take care, everybody. See you guys really soon in another episode. Keep reading and keep collecting.
And keep watching.
See you guys later.
Later, guys.